Maybe if I hit start streaming, that will make it work. Are we live? I can't tell. This is very difficult to tell if we're live, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay, so I guess we're not live. I can't seem to figure it out. God damn it. What the is this? Live? I don't know. We're trying something new out here, seeing if we are live. I don't know. I've tried like 3 or 4 times already, so it's hard to say. If that's the case, we might just have to start over again. I can't really seem to be able to figure out why. Oh, yeah, where we are. There we go. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're even fast enough now, too. We're going to have to wait and find out. I guess part of it comes down to really I got new internet installed yesterday. Now it's a little bit faster than the previous time that we had the internet up and running. Obviously, we hadn't been able to go live at all. So this is kind of a test for us. Everyone's giving us the all clear. Hit that thumbs up button. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That's how excited I am. I am live. Everyone says you're live. That's good. Okay. So we got internet installed and it seems to be doing the trick. I think we can actually go live. Let's make sure there's no yellow. So we're green right now. It says the stream's fast enough. This is fantastic. I don't even know what to do with myself. It's been so long since we've done live. Last year was the last time we had done it when it was successful. And that's when we were in Malaysia. So welcome everyone. If this is, this might be a consistent thing now. Maybe I said this before, where we try to do a live stream once a week. So if I can manage to keep a good connection here, we're going to try and do this on a regular basis so that you guys can ask questions and we can go over all of your thoughts and all of your ideas. So we'll give it a few minutes. We'll give me a few minutes more of ranting here. Basically what I'm going to drop in, I want to take a look at something. I always love Zero Hedge. They've got some great articles. This is one that they posted out today. It says the world trade suffers biggest collapse since the recent financial crisis. A quote here from the CPB. It says an industrial slump has been triggered by a perfect form of financial factors, including China's slowdown, the car industry downturn, and Brexit paralysis, and Donald Trump's attempt to upend the international trade system with tariffs to European Chinese goods. I actually like that. The whole NAFTA free trade agreement was all BS. It screwed over everybody. A lot of that, I guess, what we'll call globalism has been always at the cost and the expense of the individual. It's always the downside to those things is people don't understand who or why or what it's costing them. So this is a pretty exciting article if you're interested in this type of stuff. The reason it's not exciting is the same reason we're all in Bitcoin, is because we know that when this ship starts to turn around, this isn't going to be a great story for everyone. Now, I've been pondering in the background, and you always look for outcomes that might be potentially positive. One of those ideas was, okay, well, if we can see a rollover over the next 2 to 3 years where they just kick the can down the road and continue, I don't know what they're doing, QE. I don't know where this emphasis in the market is coming. We see the S&P 500 jumped up to over 2,900 points. It just doesn't make any sense. We're looking like we might hit new all-time highs in the stock market. And that's what we had postulated before, was that the weakening dollar and the ability to essentially acquire more assets under that weakening dollar would make the appearance of the price go up. And that's always been one of the abstract points of conjecture, is how do we really get to a point where everything's going up when none of it is worth anything? It's a very, very hard line of thinking to understand, but it's great to meditate on because we know that the value of something is only what we make of it. So I'm starting to question how much further down the road this can might get kicked, maybe leading us into the 2022 area before we see any real financial calamity because of how many other, I guess, emerging market economies and infrastructure are in place to help soften the blow of the inflated US dollar. So the further escalation of the trade war between the U.S. and China could spark a world trade recession, and already Washington has imposed these steep tariffs on Chinese imports worth around $250 billion in a tit-for-tat battle with industrial centers of Asia. Now, again, down here it says the global economy has lost further momentum in the last 6 months. The IMF managing director Christine Lagarde, and Lagarde pinned the trade volume on deterioration, the de-acceleration of global growth, and the impact of increased trade tensions on spending. One of the reasons why this is so important is because we need to look for the relationship between the value of Bitcoin versus the rest of the markets. If we roll over here, we're looking at Bitcoin on the hourly right now. We've been consolidating it right in the area of the $25,250 area is the major area of support and resistance where we've broken down and out of multiple times. Here's 24.50 right on the line. right here. It's just at the top volume profile fill here, and we've been bouncing back down to the 5100 area, again with the volume profile fill being right up, snubbed up against around 4900 and 50. This has been a very, very strong support level. This is where most of our support has come from. Now breaking below that again, like I said, around the 4960 area on volume on the hourly could bring us all the way back down to 4200. There's a lot of momentum and excitement in this ecosystem while all the big boys, I think, are just watching. We do see that most retail trade investors have basically gotten their ass handed to them over the last few months. These gains, I guess, and losses are noticeable. And I do suspect that we're going to see another downtrend in Bitcoin here. This momentum cannot be sustained, in my opinion, and there are other indicators and many other great traders who agree on these sentiments. Now, again, rolling into some of the more abstraction of this whole idea is that the S&P 500 is breaking into previous all-time high areas. So as we can see here, it's already broken up past the past all-time high of around 2,860, and then breaking up towards the 2,930 line. Once we break out of there, we could see new all-time highs in the S&P 500. Now, this is originally where we were leading emphasis on the price of Bitcoin was in the relationship to not the crash of the stock market, but the potential effects on the US dollar. So if we scroll down here to the DXY, and I'll take some of your guys' questions soon. I just wanted everyone to be able to show up in the live stream. Thank you all for joining us. I believe we're live. We still have a green light. That means we're actually able to stream live. Thank you. Thank you, internet gods. I believe you guys have finally allowed me to connect back to the world of live stream. I want to thank you all for joining us. I know we haven't been able to do this in quite some time. But again, one of the interesting parts here is the relationship to the US dollar. Now, a lot of people get caught up in the momentum of the ecosystem. I still see all these like, oh, when $1 million, I think Ivan on text every third video is something about when $1 million or $100,000 Bitcoin. We will get there. I definitely believe we'll get there. I've never changed my sentiment on the long-term outlook of this, but the US dollar index right now is one of the areas that I think is most interesting because of its relationship to the price of Bitcoin. Again, even with the US dollar, we have a massive area of support and resistance right around the 97 point line, and we've never been able to break out of that since, let's see, this is November 2018. So, let's see, and back over here is December 2016. So December 2016, we had a massive drop. This probably had a bunch to do with quantitative easing and the raising of interest rates with the drop of the dollar due to the dovish statements made by the Fed over the I guess the years of past. And we're really we tried to break out of this 97 point line for the US dollar multiple times now. Again, we're looking for if the dollar ever breaks out of this region and goes to the test the $100 or the 100 point mark on the DXY again, this could be very detrimental to Bitcoin's price because we know that in an economic crisis, most people are not going to move to a volatile asset. They're going to move to something that they think that they can believe in, which in this particular case seems to be fiat because they don't know any better. So this is a very, very interesting line of thought process to go through. Again, we don't try to, we got caught in some of the hype and FOMO or FUD or whatever you want to call it early in 2018, right after we hit $20,000. We had the bounce back up to 15,000, and I wasn't entirely sure yet at that point that we had reached a bear market. Once we dropped back down and retested, the $6,000 mark started to look like a real key area of support and resistance. And once we broke down from that, it became a whole new ball game. Now there's I guess disaster everywhere. Tragedy is ripe in the world economy, and we're keeping an eye on everything for this particular case because the crypto world is not separated from the world of financial investments. They're closely linked because sentiment is everything. If we lose general sentiments in the markets, it's going to be devastating to every market on the planet. So few on the watch list. We'd actually been taking a look at Engine the last few days. It's nice to see it shoot up 16% in the last 24 hours. Again, we had at least on the daily call a short come in. What was it? Around 31.50. So the fact that we're back up around 34.50 is a nice healthy gain from that original area of entry. So very exciting to see all these markets move. Again, on Engine, we're looking actually on the daily here, just starting to point up. And if you move down to the hourly chart, you can see that as well. We've just crossed over on the MACD and we started to point up again. So there's positive indicators for Engine here, at least up to the 3,500 Satoshi mark. Again, we're going to test that previous high wave. If we break out of that, I suspect to see a nice run from Engine again. I have no idea where that momentum is coming from. As a trader, I don't really care. I just look for the breaks breaks and the recent breaks of the highs too. We have a very, very important one right here coming through at this 3,600 Satoshi mark. So we're keeping a close eye on Engine. Raven too has been bouncing around in between our buy and sell areas between around 1,000 and anyway, the last one we had around 1,280 to 1,400. Again, some of these moves happen very quickly. On the previous one between April 3rd and April 7th here, we saw almost, what was this, a 20 or 30% gain? Let's see, almost 30% gain in Raven just off its bounces. So the day trading of some of this stuff, or intraday trading we'll call it, I guess they're very short swing trades to some degree, 30% gain. Even again here, you know, you see these bounces from here to here is a 7% gain. So basically we've been finding this massive area of support and resistance. At least you can zoom out on the daily chart and see that the 0.618 line has seemed to hold at least where we are now. This is a very important line that we have to hold now. Again, we could very easily come down to test the 947 Satoshi mark down near the 0.5, but the 0.618 and the 0.786 are extremely important for bullish territory. If we bounce here and then move up, we could run to 1336, and then if we break out, we could see what the potential of a wave 5 extension could do, which could bring us all the way to around 2,600 Satoshis. Now this is a very risky trade, as in comparison when we were looking for entries down here around the 400 Satoshi mark, as in comparison with where we are now. We call these Hawkeye trades. So for all the bear denners that have joined the private group, thank you guys. We appreciate all the support. Well over 300 of you now. Such a brilliant community and group. I'm so grateful to be a part of it myself. So I'm actually going to answer a few questions. I'm going to make today's idea somewhat short. I mostly just wanted to test to see if we could do live streams, and seeing as we are able to at least apparently do that, we're going to try to make it not a daily occurrence, but at least once a week. Again, I know you guys love doing this stuff. So let's take a look at the last few of your questions, and then we'll basically call it a day now, knowing that we can live stream and we don't seem to have any troubles so far. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's see. Rack percent fair trades. BSV, one of those coins that will probably pop into a lot of BTC folk. Is it possible to kill? You guys, thank you for all your hard work. No, I appreciate that. A lot of positive sentiments and comments here. You guys are agreeing with the globalism being a bad thing. What's your point of view of Cardano? Again, lately what I feel I like to do is remove some of the fundamental analysis, although they're extremely important when you link them together, and look heavily on the TA side of things. So let's pretend we don't know anything about Cardano in terms of fundamentals. Where do I have ADAs? Right here. First thing we want to do is roll out to the daily chart. One of my main things that I like to do is consistently have some type of strategy for how I approach paying attention to a token. Now, here you can see the all-time, or at least what we have recorded for the Binance of all-time data. It actually goes a little bit back further than that when it was for trade on Bittrex. From the bottom of where it ran up in March to where we are now, we've seen a 50% gain in Cardano. We're seeing a retracement of that particular wave right now. So if what you want to do is zoom in now a little bit further, I would take this, I would calculate it as an individual wave with my Fibonacci retracement tool, one of my absolute favorites. Again, for anyone that's been a part of the family for a long time, we know that technical analysis is basically using if this, then this kind of theology. So we're coming down to the 618 line. We're going to probably test that and then rebounce back up to the 786. It's a very common occurrence. The strength right now on the daily, we are headed down on the MACD. If you roll into the 2-hour chart again, we are still below the MACD, but we see a recent crossover right here too. We're in the green, so we see the potential upward momentum. We're sitting right in between the cloud here, which is a positive sign to some degree. We might see the bounce off that 618 around 1500, back up to 1676. For those of you that have been paying attention, well, first off, you're awesome, because that makes everyone's life easier. That makes the stronger leaders in general. But the entire 618 to 786 area is a very, very important band when it comes to bullish and bearish territory. As soon as we drop below 618, I usually hold bearish sentiments all the way down to the 236 and potentially even lower. It just makes sense to me. Seeing this volume gap here, it really depends on what Bitcoin's going to do. We could very easily fall to the 386, but we're looking essentially for And just from a technical standpoint, I would suspect a small bounce up to the 1661. So there's room for intraday range trading, not financial advice. Again, just break it down, you know, scroll down to the 1 minute, look at even like at some absurd time frame to see what's taking place. Like where are we on the cloud from a much closer standpoint. Wait for our VPR to disappear here. So right now we've been consolidating into just below our EMA and currently inside of our cloud here. Again, we're getting closer to the, where's that range bottom? Yeah, here's the range bottom of the 618, which is around 1500 satoshis. So we've been obviously there's this big gap that you can see in the volume profile. As I zoom out here, it'll become more noticeable. Now let's go to the hour. You can see it probably a little more clearly. And our cloud has actually been telling us to short. Well, it told us to go short around 1600. It's bounced back up to retest that area, but again, still in bearish territory. I would look for a bounce closer to the 1550. That's my quick rundown on Cardano. Charles Hoskinson, the stuff that they're working on. You know, these guys have all been, I guess we'll say for lack of better terminology, in the current moment in bed together. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, in the early 1990s, the internet infrastructure was the same thing. Everybody was working together to some degree. They would jump from project to project because you had so many startups and failures come out of that space at that same time. So it's very, very interesting to note. What we want to try to do in the bear cave and the private bear den. Oh, here, another exciting part. Oh, I wasn't even showing you guys the screen. I'm such a fluff ball here. Anyways, unimportant. I hope you heard what I said. It's usually the more important factor. And we're working on chapter 2 of our Arcane Bear trading book. So the second edition is coming out, called Tools of the Trader. I've got some. I'm writing it myself here, so we're about 5 pages into chapter 2. Pretty exciting. That will come out in about a week. Again, we'll take 1 or 2 more of your guys' questions here. I'm just excited that we can go live. That's a whole new ball game. I'm glad that we have that. Showing you guys the screen. That was a big miss for us. We loved going live. Yeah, I'm sorry about the fact that I didn't go over to and do the screen share with you guys. Again, like I said, I'm getting used to just doing live streaming again. It's been quite some time since we've done it, so it feels like I'm a baby again, like I'm fresh and don't know how any of this works because I'm making baby mistakes. Anyways, I'm excited. Give us those thumbs up. We're gonna keep it short today because I don't want to roll off and rant for too long. And we all know how capable I am of ranting for extended periods of time. The main focus of today was just to find out that the live stream works, that we know how to connect it still, and then from there we can go in. I've got there's the invitation to my next meeting. So I'm going to jump offline. Again, thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate everyone that's joined the private bear den. Like I said, over 300 of you. That means we're closing in on closing that next group of people. So thank you all for the support. Like I said, that basically goes to creating more trading manuals. We're upgrading the website too. Soon you'll be able to find all the different write-ups of indicators and what they might mean, and different types of candle wicks and sticks. And it's a lot of fun. I'm happy to be able to provide more content to the Bear family, and it's because you guys are supporting the Bear family supports you guys. So again, thank you to all the Bear admins who work tirelessly to help answer questions, to take care of all the customer support, because we all know how bad at that I would be. For any of you that know me, I'm probably the most arrogant person in the Bear family. I'm the youngest asshole around. I'm trying my best. This is one of the things I think that we are all going through, is realizing the importance of wealth on a daily basis comes down to understanding that if you appreciate being in the rain, that's as wealthy as you can get, next to the man who has no money, standing in the rain with an umbrella and absolutely hating life. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You hate life at that point. People will argue, oh, money doesn't buy you happiness. It's like, well, you have to generally learn that yourself to really get the full picture. Until you do, it's really easy to argue. Otherwise, anyways, this is T with the Arcane Bear. I'm signing off for the rest of the day. We'll see you guys on the other side. Oh, yeah.